time of tradition, there were three filmmakers with nothing in common. They thought they had it all figured out. They don't just follow the movies, they make them. Alexander Pavlak, Mario Silvas, and Jamaal Alexander are the makers on film.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Makers on Film. I am Alexander Pavlak, your host, writer-director, and with me is usually Mario I. Silvas, but he's having some technical issues, so he will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. With me, however, is Jamaal Alexander, actor.
Why am I still getting billed second?
Well, technically it'd be third because I'm first and Mario's second.
You suck!
I only do that because you yell about it.
Yeah.
And then also joining us is, writer and producer Heather Woodward. Say hello, Heather.
Say hello, Heather. Oh, hello.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the folks at home a little bit about your credentials?
I have credentials. Okay.
Yeah. I could tell some of them, but why don't you go ahead and sing your accolades?
All right. I started my illustrious film career in Ventura, California, back when I was just a wee child. My sister and I made a movie called Small Details, which kind of got a following in the area because we just filmed all over the place. You couldn't have missed us. And then we had this very spectacular opening for the movie at this bar on a Sunday, and the guy was all like, yeah, we'll give it to you for free on a Sunday because we never get people in here on Sundays. So if you can get 5 people in here, we can it's worth it to us because then we'll at least make $50 for the night, so that'll be more than what we usually make. And I'm like, okay. So my sister and I passed out a ton of free tickets and just marketed the hell of it, and we filled the whole place, and we had over 200 people show up. So success. Woo.
That's actually a pretty good opener there.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
What was your role in the movie?
I wrote and produced it, and then later on, a few years later, I directed, produced, and partly filmed a paranormal documentary, which ended up in a few film festivals.
Okay. You were actually one of the ghost hunters in that one, correct?
Yeah, I was a psychic ghost hunter person in that, and I produced it and stuff. But it's a really horrible, horrible movie. And I have no idea why it got into a film festival or two, and I have no idea why people watch it. It was my first time editing for a movie, and I'm not very good at it. So, lesson be learned. I don't ever edit anything anymore because I'm terrible at cuts. And then what else did I do?
Did you do anything after that in Ventura?
Stuff here and there, and then I started doing stuff with you guys. I've done a bunch of producing with you guys. Yeah. So
you did some of the props for Cliché.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, I paid for that, by the way. That was me.
About Cliché.
Yeah, that's why you got credit as prop master or prop creator or something. But you did the license plates. You paid and had those printed out, and you did the badges and made those look real nice.
Oh, that's right. I did that too.
And then you wrote and produced Tex, which also starred Jamaal.
Jamaal Alexander with the longest soliloquies ever. I write epic.
And I loved it because, it's me talking.
Yeah, but it's epically long.
No, they were really good. I really enjoyed them. It was really fun trying to get into that character.
Yeah.
They were really good too. I mean, Jamaal did a really good job with them. You had them all memorized for the most part.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think there was very little that you actually had to be fed a line or anything. You never looked like you were searching for what to say.
No, you did really good with it.
I just fake well. I just fake real well. Because that's a mark of a good actor.
Josh, who played the other character who had the giant the speech in the soliloquy in the beginning of Tex, did a lot of searching for his lines.
And that really pissed off Robin because she was the other person in that scene. I remember her getting really angry at him because he just clearly he hadn't read up on anything before coming in that day.
No, he did it. I think he knew 2 or 3 sentences at a time, and thankfully it was going around a couch, so there was a lot of intercutting. So I was able to hide all that when I did the editing on it, but it was still quite annoying.
I think it was like 40-something takes we did all together for that scene. It was like 4 hours worth of work or something like that, 3 or 4.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm calling Mario right now.
Does he have another way of getting onto the internet? Is he anywhere near McDonald's? Can he find a public library?
I know, right? Seriously, like just go outside and walk around the neighborhood. Like around here, if you walk around the neighborhood, you get internet.
Can you hear it ring?
I'm hearing it ringing.
Yeah?
Hey, what's up?
There we go. Hey, I'm online with the internet people right now. They said they'll have it up in like 10 minutes for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bueno.
Okay, so we'll just keep talking about you
I
until you get on here.
Do you want me to call you back in like 10 minutes when I get it up?
Yes.
Shut up. Shut your goddamn whore mouth.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
You okay? You realize that he can't hear you, Jamaal. He can only hear him.
Okay.
But,
how is he? How's the little guy?
Yeah, go ahead and send us a text. Send me a text to let me know when everything is good to go, and we'll bring you in on the show. But otherwise, look into that, downloading it onto your phone, because then you could do it from anywhere. You could even do it while you're working.
You could do it
You could do it from everywhere, or you could just wait like unreasonably long.
In the meantime, we'll just continue with our slanders upon your good name.
Well, I wouldn't think anything less of you guys.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Because we didn't really care. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Hey, did you see that Princess Leia's Star Wars costume just got leaked?
No, I did not.
Yeah, the wonders of Facebook.
Does it look good?
It looks like she's don't know how to explain it. She just looks like old. But I mean, not old in a bad way, but she looks like someone's mom.
Well, I think technically she is someone's mom, isn't her children going to be the source of either her children or Luke's children are going to be the source of?
No, that's you and you're hoping of, or how you're projecting the movie to go out. We never really did get like real details on that.
Do you want me to send this to you?
Yeah, send me the link to that. No, but in the trailer, in the second trailer, they say the Force runs in our family, and it sounds like Luke Skywalker talking. It may not be, but they allude to the fact that it's Luke Skywalker, and he's like, my father had it, I had it, and now you had it. And they allude to the fact that it's Luke's son, but it could be Leia's son or daughter.
She's wearing a gray jumpsuit with a black vest, they say, which is very reminiscent of her costume during the third act of Return of the Jedi. While the photo is not confirmed to be real, it does match up with promo art that previously leaked on the web.
I'm not even going to look it up. Star Trek is clearly superior.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he says that every time.
Oh.
As I sit here with my lightsaber in hand.
Do you like the flashes? The light flashes? The lens flares.
Oh, those?
Yeah.
Lens flares? Yes, I do actually. You know why? Realism. That's what I want to see in a movie about aliens and space people and alien races that are clearly human, except for like little cosmetic differences like pointed ears. Space elves. That's what they are. Space elves.
Are we talking like the new Star Trek or the old Star Trek?
Well, you're talking the new one if you're talking lens flares.
I'm talking lens flares. I'm just asking.
Because they didn't do lens flares before.
No, and then there's that Star Trek, the reimagined one. I'm not sure, with the dude from Mythbusters in it, Grant Imahara. What's that one called?
Continues, I think.
Star Trek Continues. Yeah. Have you seen that one?
The fan thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, but it has Grant Imahara from Mythbusters as Mr. Sulu, and it has Scotty's son or grandson. So it has James Doohan playing the role of Scotty.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You haven't heard about this? They only did like 2 or 3 episodes. It takes them a year to do
No,
it.
they did. This Comic-Con, they just had into the 4th episode, I think it was.
Was it 4? Well, still, it takes them like 6 months to do an episode. Then
What do
You
you
should
say,
watch it,
James?
though.
When you say James Doohan, like his son doing the role?
it's like either his son or his grandson. I
Okay,
forget.
Christopher Doohan then.
I believe so.
It's called Star Trek what?
Star Trek Continues.
Continues.
Because there's Star Trek Continues and then there's Star Trek Phase 2, and Phase 2 has been around for a while, and that has had
Tuvok. One of them has Tuvok in it.
This one doesn't have Tuvok.
I think it was
No,
Phase...
Tuvok. You guys don't know who Tuvok is.
I know who Tuvok is, but
I don't.
Who's Tuvok?
Seriously, you're going to do this? Okay, fine. He was I forget the actor's name. He was the Black Vulcan on Voyager. He played the security guy.
Oh, that is so racist. That is so
that
racist.
dude.
Why is he the Black Vulcan?
Because he's probably black.
Because how many Vulcans do you know that are black?
You win this round.
But anyway,
Yeah, there's 4 episodes.
yeah, Tuvok was in I think one of the Phase 2. So was the guy who played Chekhov originally.
Walter Koenig.
Walter Koenig, thank you. And then George Takei was in a couple episodes.
Yes, it's
Takei.
Chris Doohan. Chris Doohan plays Montgomery Scott.
Actually, it's Takei.
Takai.
It's Takei because he says it's Takei, and then he says it's okay to be Takei.
And then Grant Imahara
more-
plays Sulu.
I think that's more of him just playing up the fact that he's gay. It's okay to be Takei.
Yeah, because that's how he says his name.
Well, anyway, this
I go by what the person whose name it belongs to says.
I've heard Takai from him.
he changed it.
Probably in the beginning when nobody knew how to pronounce his name anyway. I mean, Demi Moore used to go as Demi Moore because until she was big, she didn't care because she just wanted to work. And now as soon as she got big, it's Demi.
You mean back in 1994?
Yeah, whenever it was. Whenever she did G.I. Jane or whatever it was.
Well,
It feels
anyway,
like 94.
you should watch this if you're a Star Trek fan because it's really cute. And I guess there is 4 episodes. Yes, the 4th episode came out this year.
I've only seen the first one, but I will definitely because they go to Comic-Con every year and they introduce one of the episodes last year and then this year, and we missed them both because of your mom.
That's right.
Anyway,
that sounded like a dig.
it was both a dig and actual.
Just the way he says it, we missed it because your mom.
The new Star Trek, the second one, I thought it was pretty cute. I just didn't like. I don't like the love thing with Spock.
Spock and Uhura.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Really? Why?
It makes me sad. Thought it was jumping the shark just a little bit.
I didn't mind it.
He just seems so gay for Kirk. I just thought that if they were really gonna go with a true love interest, then he should go for the real interest.
You've totally been reading the fan fiction, haven't you?
No, I just feel
she clearly has.
I haven't actually, but it makes more sense to me. If you're gonna yell things and be all emotional with people, I don't know, just go with it. Take it to that next level. It just seemed like Uhura. That just seemed like such a cop out to me.
It's Uhura. Thank you very much.
Uhura. She just seemed like such a cop out to me.
I liked it in the first movie because it was a pleasant surprise. Though the entire build up to that movie was all the trailers were suggesting her and Kirk would hook up, and then all of a sudden, towards the end, she shares an elevator ride with. That's not a euphemism. She shares an elevator ride with Spock.
Right. I don't know. I think the best part of the second movie is Sherlock. Dude, he just totally stole that whole movie.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
You realize that makes you a Cumberbitch, right?
I probably am a Cumberbitch.
That's what they call his female fans.
Well, I call him Sherlock because that's what he is in my head.
But if they're a gay female fan, they're Cumberbutch.
They're Cumberbutch.
You know what they call Chris Pine's female fans?
What?
Pine nuts.
That's totally hilarious. I really feel like he just kind of stole that movie, and then he just he's all, yeah.
What
He's
movie
like,
doesn't he steal?
I don't know.
Really?
It was like, hey, everybody, act around me because I'm the only good actor in this movie, and I'm like,
I
damn.
Quinto is good.
I thought Pine was good too.
Pine is okay. He does a good job as Kirk. I don't know if he's a good actor, but he does a good job as Kirk.
Pine
But-
is not there to emote during that movie. He's there to be a leading man. So he has to be funny, he has to play up the comedy, and then he has to do all the action sequences. He's not there to be the tear jerking moment guy. He's there to be the fun guy.
I saw him in CSI Miami.
Chris Pine?
He had like the douchey '90s hair going on.
Wait, a guest role or like a lead role? Like
No, like a guest role. He was like the main person in the.
And
Like-
for that episode, he was in one episode.
Yeah, he was like the main person for that episode. But it was totally weird watching him because it was about the time that Star Trek came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
Chris Pratt annoys me. Chris Pine I like.
Yeah, Chris Pratt, he is a Pratt. I mean, I can't take him seriously.
I see him in the trailers training
Velociraptors.
Velociraptors, and I think to myself, how the hell did he get a degree in zoology? I don't believe that for a second. Like, I don't believe that for a second. Chris Pratt is perpetually a frat boy to me. He's Pratt the frat or frat Pratt. Whatever.
Seriously.
Yeah, like I can't see him like doing anything that requires more thinking than, I don't know, hot wiring a car.
I think
That's
that
what
might
they
be too
look-
much thinking, yeah.
I know. Wow, you're like giving him a lot of credit.
So E3 is going on. Have you seen any of the news coming from there?
Not a big gamer, so no.
Well, I've been watching it. I was hoping that Silent Hills, Microsoft did their talk yesterday, and they talked about all the new games that they were coming out. And there was rumor on the internet that Silent Hills was going to be picked up by Microsoft. It was going to be Microsoft exclusive, and they didn't announce it. I was very, very upset to not hear that. And apparently, Heather was looking on the internet and says that the whole internet has broken because of this.
It has. There's lots of sadness around it. People are just waiting for the next. Basically, there's this whole thing happening where people are like, okay, we know that it has to be, resurrected because everybody's really pining for it. They're just kind of waiting for when and who.
They're Chris pining for it.
They are Chris pining for
They are
it.
Chris planning for it. They're waiting for an actual good Silent Hill game, and the last like 4 haven't been good. They've been okay. The last one I thought was decent, but a lot of people didn't like it. And now
Much like the movies.
none of the movies were good. You can't make a bad movie good by making a worse sequel.
Is there only 2? Because I saw one and it was so horrible that I was like, what the hell am I watching?
Wait.
Silent Hill.
That brings up a really good a question here. You can make a bad movie good by making a bad sequel. Can you make a bad movie good by making a good sequel? And give me a good example.
Well, first, is that the movie I saw, the horrible one with the blonde-haired kid?
Yes, that was the second one.
Oh my god, that movie was so terrible.
Well, the first one was bad because the director, Chris Gaines, I think is his name, he didn't know anything about the movie. He wanted to make all the characters female, which is not that big of a deal, but in this situation, it was just weird. And it was more, it seemed the way he talked about it, like a sexual thing more than an artistic choice. And
Isn't Chris Gaines Garth Brooks's like alter ego?
I don't know. Is he also like a French director?
I'm gonna Google that now.
I know, I'm
But
totally
I'm positive that Chris Gaines is Garth Brooks's alter ego.
It's something like that.
It is. Google Chris Gaines. It's Garth Brooks in like an emo wig.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube.
No, I've seen the pictures. I lived through it, but it's Christoph Gaines is the name of the guy who directed.
Yeah,
Silent Hill.
Christoph Gaines. Yeah.
So they forced him to put male characters in, and that's where Sean Bean and Christopher Coates comes in. They had absolutely nothing to do with the actual plot of the movie. They were just running around, kind of being exposition, which wasn't even needed exposition. And then I was watching the movie, and I'm a big fan of the game, of the franchise. So when they said that they were going to do this movie, I thought that was great. And I start watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, they changed the lead character from male to female. But okay, I'll roll with that. And I'm watching the movie, and they're kind of getting the changing of the other world, the foggy world, the rust world, and the real world, they're kind of getting that right a little bit. But there's just little things that are different about it. And I'm like, okay, it's a little different, it's a little weird, but I'll go with it. And then Pyramid Head comes in, which if you know anything about the games and how Silent Hill works and the whole mystique behind it, you know why Pyramid Head should not be in this film. But he's in the film, and I'm like, oh, okay, Pyramid Head's in this, but maybe they just wanted a main protagonist. But I'm going with it. And then he did the ending, and the ending, I'm just like, I gave you so much credit, and this is how you end the film. It's like the cop character in this was so useless. Like everything that she did could have not have happened, and the movie still would have progressed naturally. There's nothing that she gave to the whole movie.
See, I like the first one. I think the first one it actually gave me nightmares, which is a good sign. I actually really liked it. You want to hear a bit of trivia about this guy? I didn't know this. He made this really, really epic film called Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's a good movie.
In 2001, and it won a bunch of awards because it was a kick-ass movie. And I remember, it's in French, and I remember watching it in French and being like, oh my god, this is probably one of the amazing filmmakers in French. One of the. And then he makes Silent Hill. Sad face.
Yeah, but and then they make Silent Hill 2, which is actually based on Silent Hill 3 game, the game Silent Hill 3. So they completely cut out Silent Hill 2, which is actually the only Silent Hill Pyramid Head should be in. And then in Silent Hill the movie 2, Silent Hill 2 the movie, Pyramid Head shows up again. He's actually on the poster and the artwork for this. And I'm like, okay, that's horrible. And it's like they never, the people who wrote the script or made the movie never actually played the game. They just saw screenshots of it. And they're like, okay, we're going to put all this stuff into a movie, and I don't know what it's going to be about. And
well, I'm looking up on IMDb, different director for the second one, Michael J. Bassett, who won a bunch of awards for some feature film called Death Watch.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Okay.
But it's like I'm waiting for a time that a Christopher Nolan guy comes around and makes an actually good movie based on a video game. And a few years back, they were going to make a Fallout movie, and that fell through, unfortunately. And maybe it is fortunate. Maybe nobody would have made it good. But I think Fallout, which is really what everybody other than Silent Hill is clamoring for at E3, that this is a franchise that's ripe for the picking. I think it's beautifully done. It has such a wonderful history to it. The whole concept behind it is amazing. I think somebody just needs to take this and treat it like a book and make the movie as close to the game as possible. I mean, they're probably going to change the ending because that's always what they do, and I think that would be a shame because I think the ending of the first game is amazing, and I think it's just brilliant what they had to do to make this game work and to make the story work. And I think it's a beautiful story, and I think somebody should make this movie, and I think it could be great. But, they've taken other movies that had wonderful stories to them and made them shitty movies. The entire Resident Evil series, for example.
The only video game I want to see translated into a movie is the last video game I ever really paid attention to, Duke Nukem.
This Death Watch movie looks really cool. It says, in the middle of World War I, 9 British soldiers caught behind enemy lines seek refuge in a complex network of German trenches. What they soon discover is that they aren't alone, and it isn't German soldier that's hunting them down. Dun dun dun.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
It is. I guess it's a horror film. This sounds really neat. I have to watch this and make fun of it.
How do you go from that to doing Silent Hill Revelations 3D?
That's what I'm saying. Both of these directors made really epic movies prior to Silent Hill. This Death Watch movie won a bunch of awards, or it got nominated for a bunch of awards. Let's see how many awards. It won once, had 5 nominations, this Death Watch movie. And then, Brotherhood of the Wolf is just a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, you guys, you need to go out and watch it. It's amazing.
These are both. I think these are both foreign films too, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're just great. Well, I know Brother of the Wolf is just so bloody and so great and so gritty. I was like, wow, finally somebody got werewolves right. And so And then they go from that to the shitty movies, and I'm like, okay. I mean, the first Silent Hill isn't bad. Like I said, I did like it, but I'm not familiar with the game, so.
Well, that probably helped. But if you're familiar with the game is so much more of a mindfuck than that movie could ever have wished to be.
Well, the second one was like I don't know what it was. It was just like, I mean, Sharknado had more merit. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there.
Doesn't Mario hate the Sharknado people for some reason?
Mario hates everything that I love. Where is he? Let's move the long 10 minutes.
I don't know. Maybe he's offering the technician a sloppy hand job for his internet service.
Could be. Does he know how to do that?
It's just like turning the butter on the farm.
He does.
What'd you say?
I was gonna say, I said that that it's just like churning butter on the farm. I was so not into editing last week's show that I got to a point and I'm just like, okay, that's a lull in the conversation. We're done.
By the way, thanks for being late on the post. Like, I had people who listen to the show regularly asking me what happened on Monday.
Yeah, I was a little bit late, and I do apologize about that. Like I said, I was just so not into editing last week for some reason, and I feel real bad because like the inner slacker has set noon to be the show's the time that the show goes live, and even I couldn't even accomplish that. I think I got up at like 10 or 11 on Monday, and I was just all like,
Could you,
It's
Alex?
it's a shame. I really liked last week. I really liked last week's episode. I thought we stayed on topic and really kind of like hash out some stuff.
We talked for like 4 hours that day, and I think that was part of the reason why I just didn't want to go through and edit it, because we had talked so much on the subject.
Did you keep the TV stuff in there?
No, the TV stuff I completely removed because it was.
Can you put it in another episode? Can you do a bonus episode?
I totally could. I'll see what I can do. I'll work on this week's show to see if I can get it done earlier. Maybe I'll do like a bonus show. Talk
That would
about
be cool.
TV. Maybe I'll save that and we can just take a week off.
Or maybe do some periscopes.
Or maybe do some periscopes. I didn't have anybody following it, so I turned it off.
It doesn't matter. People will watch it in the aftermath. So keep it on. Doesn't matter if people are watching right now. People watch that stuff all the time. Like, I've already got a bunch of views on mine.
You have a lot more Twitter followers than I do. Most of the Twitter followers I have are spam anyway. They're all Viagra ads or whatever.
Wait, you're Twittering? And by the way, I would invest in that Viagra stuff at a man your age. But you're Twittering?
Yes, I Twitter. I am older than you, but yet I know how to work my VCR. And I know that just dated me.
But I have a lot of followers on Twitter, so if you send them to me, I'll send them to my peoples, and I'll say friend his peoples, and then you'll have lots of peoples.
I did not understand any of that.
I'll put it in my feed, and then people will start following you. I'll say follow this bastard, and they'll be like, oh, okay, she said to, so I will.
Well, why don't you do that for the show?
What any of that means?
I do. Why do you think you have so many followers, you dork?
We have followers?
We do have followers. I will say that even though the show went up late, like maybe 10 minutes after the show went live at like 5 o'clock or something, we had like 15, 20 people already view it.
I'm so thankful for you folks out there for going to MLF.ninja and listening to our show all the time. Really, so thank you guys so much. Leave a comment, please.
Last month we did 6 shows, and those 6 shows got about 480 views. This month we did half of that. We did 3 shows, and they're already at like 400 views. So we've done half of the shows and already got just as many views as we had last month.
You guys doubled your viewership already, your listenership.
And they love me.
Well, no, every time you post an episode, I put it in my Twitter feed, and then I put it through my Facebook feed and on my LinkedIn feed, and I put it on Google. You just don't know that. I just copy and paste. So, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Not that it's not all me, but I do help out, and people who know me are like, what is this fandangled thing that you're doing? So.
Well, to anybody who listens to the show and who enjoys it, please share it with your friends. Put it on your social media and ask your friends to listen to it.
I don't know why Alex isn't already on top of this. Why aren't you Twittering us?
I do Twitter us. I do it all the time. It's all over Facebook and Twitter. Everything
Clearly,
I put
it sounds like Heather's doing a better job of it than you are.
I just don't brag about it like Miss Internet over here, Miss Fancy Britches.
Well, I am a leadership coach and a business coach. I mean, if I can't figure out how to market you, then I'm not doing my job, right?
Well, I'm gonna say that your biggest challenge is probably trying to market us.
You're not marketable. No, I think it's amazing though. I think it's amazing that you guys went from like, your first show, you didn't really know what you're doing, and now you guys are 2 months in now, and you already have a following and you're already getting people. I mean, that's just amazing. Just think what's going to happen in 6 months. You guys will be where, can't even walk outside of the street. People were like, "Oh my God, that's that Jamaal guy!"
Well, nobody's actually seen our face. Well, we have our pictures at mof.ninja is where the site is if you want to leave a comment there. But yeah, I'm losing weight. I'm going to look different. And I've had a haircut.
Well, I tell you what, when you lose the weight and when you get your haircut, take some new pictures and I'll post them up on the on the website. Mario still hasn't emailed me his bio yet. So
did I email you mine?
Yes. Well, you sent it to me via text, and I got it, and I put it up on the website, but I haven't put that page live because I'm waiting for Mario. I'm thinking about just writing in there Mario doesn't really exist.
Is he like half Asian, half Mexican?
Yes.
So is he Asian?
But he's also Filipino or something like that, isn't he too? His mom is like.
No. They're Filipinos are like Asian Mexicans. They're they're an indigenous people.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They're indigenous people who Asians banged.
Okay, just making sure. Making sure.
I don't know if he's actually Filipino.
Or is it? I forget.
I have these Filipino friends, and I just love reminding them of that. Like we get into arguments, and I'll just look at them. At least the Japanese man didn't fuck my grandma.
His mom is Asian, and I know his dad is Mexican, and his dad was in Vietnam, as we learned from last week's episode, because he got kind of mad when you were talking about Rambo First Blood, and he got kind of snippy there, and I left that in the show because he got real passionate there for a minute.
I don't remember what I said. I didn't get snippy from him. But what was it about exactly? Well, he needs to get on the show because I need to ask him that. Was he angry? I didn't. That was never my intention. I didn't get that. But if he was,
So yeah, but to round back, what I was saying is that his dad was in Vietnam.
Wasn't that where they made that movie Apocalypse Now?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
that movie is the bomb.
That's funny. It took me a second, but I got that.
Actually, what I found more interesting was Coppola's wife. Her movie about the filming of Apocalypse Now was much more interesting to me.
That was The Heart of Darkness, correct?
The Heart of Darkness. Yeah, that is an incredible film. She rocks.
That movie was like, the fact that it is as good as it is a testament to Coppola, because that project was doomed from the beginning.
Doomed.
If you think about movies like that, you hear this a lot. You hear about, and we talked about this last week on the show, that a lot of movies are written as they're doing it. Like they don't fully know what the outcome of the movie is, and even after he shot everything, Coppola didn't know what the movie was going to be or how it was going to end. It's only that he realized that he had this footage of this ritual where they kill the cow, which is an actual ritual.
It's in the movie.
That's not set up for the film. That was something they came across and then filmed. So that's actually a cow dying on film that we see there, or a bull, or
they were doing the ritual. Which reminds me, speaking of killing things, we totally killed Jamaal's question about sequels.
Oh yeah, I asked that question earlier. You cannot make a bad movie better by making a bad sequel.
Right.
Can you make a bad movie better by making a good sequel? And if you can, give me a perfect example. I will start us off just to paint you guys into a corner. I'll start us off. Aliens.
Ooh, I would disagree with that, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
Alien wasn't a bad film.
To a lot of people, it underperformed, or it just was not what they were looking for. Aliens came out and restarted that whole franchise and turned it into what it is now.
I will give you that, but Alien itself was not a bad film. Yes, people at the time didn't understand what it was. It was a sci-fi horror film, and it was shot like a horror film, but it was in space. And that was the beauty part about that. They jammed two genres that don't normally go together, and they made this incredible thing. So I will say that Alien was not a bad film.
Aliens is pretty epic, though. I
I
saw it so many times in the theater,
yeah,
like ridiculous amount.
when you asked the common or the casual movie viewer when exactly does the Alien franchise start, I would say a bunch of them would probably say Aliens.
Aliens is an epic film, and it did take Alien to a completely another level. It did improve that film by being so good. It made people say, I want to see this first one again. And I think that's when they started to appreciate it.
I remember sitting in the theater the first week it came out. At the time, my aunt was married to a man that did the film projection in a movie theater, so we got to go in for free all the time, and that's kind of how we got to I air quote babysit us. So we would just go in the movies. And I remember the first week it came out, like in our theater. Literally, I've never seen this before in a movie before. Like, people were literally sitting at the edge of their seats, and anytime something happened, you would go, oh my god! Like, people would start screaming and stuff.
On
and
Aliens?
and Aliens, and by the end of the movie, like, everyone was just like, oh my god, did I just see that? Like, it was so interesting to see that kind of reaction. I had never been in a theater where people were so engaged in the movie.
I could see how Aliens was on very a lot of levels was before its time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Terminator 2. Not that Terminator was a bad movie, but Terminator 2 was far superior.
It was. I will say the Evil Dead series. I think Evil Dead 3 or Army of Darkness put the Evil Dead series on the map. I think that was the one that most people saw first, and then went back to watch the first two.
I hang on. I'll address both those movies. First off, Terminator. Terminator was the original was a sci-fi film, a sci-fi thriller or a sci-fi horror film. Terminator 2 was an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle.
Right, better movie.
You do realize that both those movies were written and directed by the same person, right?
Right, written and directed by the same person, but they're not. I would barely call them the same genre.
Well, neither is Alien and Aliens. Alien is horror sci-fi, whereas Aliens is sci-fi action.
Yeah, it's action.
And then Alien Cubed was more of a psychological thriller, sci-fi psychological thriller. And then Aliens Resurrection was just an action film.
It's just really boring, you mean? Oh, did I say that out loud?
Well, that's
Yes.
Alien Cubed.
Which one's the one where they're in the prison?
That's Alien Cubed.
Wait,
that
Alien
one
Cube
was-
is that Alien 3?
Yeah.
Okay, is that the one that was ironically enough directed by a Mr. David Fincher?
Yeah, Gone Girl is epic. Have you seen Gone Girl?
Not yet, no.
Gone Girl is wow. It was there's no words. It's probably one of the best films ever made. I'm just gonna say it out loud. It's great from start to finish.
So I take it you sort of liked it.
I did. I liked it a lot. But Seven is one of my favorite movies too. Seven is just.
I love Seven.
Seven is like one of those movies where it came out, and again, it was another one that was way ahead of its time. And I mean, Kevin Spacey kills that movie. I mean, he is that movie. But
He also did Fight Club.
Fincher did Fight Club too.
That was him.
He also did Panic Room.
Panic Room was stupid.
That movie sucked.
And he also did
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
that one and the other one, Social Network.
See, I can't get into Dragon Tattoo because I saw the first one, the one in the different language. That one is just far superior. It is. It is.
I've heard good things about both, but for different reasons. People like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
I just the American version just felt so like, why they gotta go and make her look like a dyke? Seriously, like, why?
See, I'm not the only one who says that.
That's getting bleeped out.
No, it's not. I have a lesbian sister. I'm allowed to say dyke.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Two kids are adopted. One's black, one's white. Is the other one allowed to call him the N-word?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's not your call, Jamaal. That's their call. They have to figure that one out on their own.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate out in public.
That is like you saying that a marriage has to be between a man and a woman. It's whoever loves each other.
So
now who's being racist, Jamaal?
I don't love
Now
that
who's
movie
being
though.
racist?
I don't like that I'm being double teamed right now.
See, the thing is, you'll like it later. It's okay. We'll use lube.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like the American version just they made her kind of butch. I'll use butch instead. They made her just kind of butch, and the character in the European version was just I think just Danish or something like that, or Swedish, but she was just so much more of a three-dimensional character. She had soft parts of her, and she had very, very rough parts of her. You know, she was very angry, but at the same time, she had this femininity that just sort of shined through. And I felt like the American version, he just made her very cold. She was kind of cold and butch. Yeah. And that soft side didn't come out as much as I feel like it needed to.
They made her a stereotype of gay and lesbian community.
Yeah, instead of being like wounded. I feel like the European version, she was wounded versus just being a cold bitch.
This is our conversation from last week as what our taste. Yeah,
but I don't think it actually made it into the show. I honestly I don't remember what is in and not in the show. I usually listen to them over and over again, and I just kind of slapped that last one together.
I had a suggestion for a topic on this week. Remember that conversation we had about Caitlyn Jenner?
Yeah.
So I was very vocal in saying that I thought she was a woman now, and then that's not a man woman, just a woman now.
Well, yeah, she's a total woman. I wouldn't say. I mean, yeah. I'm not even sure why this is a story, because like, who gives a shit?
I know, but now she looks like a woman. So go ahead with your thought, Jamaal.
Somebody had made it a point to ask me about another headline that kind of sort of relates to it this week. Are either of you aware of a woman named Rachel Dolezal?
Yeah, that's another who gives a shit story. Like, seriously.
Wow.
Rachel Dolezal is the head of the NAACP chapter in Spokane, Washington. Rachel, the NAACP, which is a predominant or the National African American College something. I forgot what the P stands for. Yeah, it's an African American organization.
Right.
We're headed by this woman named Rachel Dolezal, who for all outward appearances is African American. As was said to me, that if I took Caitlyn Jenner as a woman now, inherently I had to take Rachel Dolezal as African American now, even though she's a white woman.
I will go ahead and ask you this question, and then maybe this will put it in perspective for you. Is Rachel Dolezal in a movie?
No.
Then why are we talking about her on the show?
Because we don't always talk about movies on this show.
But my question is, who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is this? See, this is how I feel about it. Like, why is this a story? Because, like, I'm of the mindset of, like, unless you're a pedophile, like, whatever the fuck you do behind closed doors is your business. And if you want to be black, be black. If you want to be transgender, be transgender. If you want to be straight, be straight.
Technically, what she's doing is blackface, and it's insulting to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, here's the question: what's the difference between having a sex change and having a race change?
Let's not confuse the two. Those are two completely different communities and two completely different things.
No. If a guy can go ahead and have his wiener cut off and be a girl, why can't a white person do the same thing and tan their skin, get darker hair, and become a black person?
Two different things because of the different kinds of norms that are involved with both, the different kinds of pressures that come with both. But I took God, it's a
I know, right?
Because she's not immersing herself; she's actually saying, "I identify as black."
And Bruce Jenner is identifying as woman.
Why are we highlighting this stuff? I know this is, people say it's good for us to change and it's good for us to show that there's different ways of life and blah, blah, blah. But why are these people's lives being dragged through the mud for the sake of our entertainment? I think that's what bothers me about it. And I do feel, and I'm just going to say this out loud, I do feel like Caitlyn Jenner, he used to be a man and he has a penis and he's a Republican and he's white, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I really do. We live in a patriarchal society. He knows a lot of Republicans. He knows a lot of people that are in power. So of course they're going to be like applauding him, because who the hell is he paying in the back end? Probably a lot of freaking people. I'm sure that he has his hand in the election.
Probably.
And so that's where I think of it as, oh, okay, so it's okay for him because he's patriarchal and he's paying his dues, literally. A woman who wants to be black, okay, that's a whole different story, because first of all, she's a woman. And I know people don't think of it that way, but that's where my mind went. I'm like, oh, she's a woman, so now she's got to be ostracized. How do you
That's
feel
so
about
cliche.
what you're ranting? I'm reading about how Eli Roth is in talks to direct a giant shark thriller called Meg.
Really?
Yeah, it's short for Megalodon, and it centers on efforts of two deep-sea divers to contain an enormous prehistoric shark, one large enough to devour a freighter whole.
Interesting.
It's based on a novel, and Disney owns the rights.
No, then it's not going to be good.
But it's Eli Roth, dude.
Yeah, but it's Disney.
Mario Silvas is online.
Hey, people! I hear.
Every time I hear that, I think of that movie about when the little girl goes down the stairs. What movie is that?
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
Hey there, buddy. Hey, brown man.
Hey, buddy. How's the internet thing going? You doing okay over there?
It's fucking working now, dude. Like a champ.
So what was wrong with the internet?
I have no idea. Honestly, I went over to my router. It was fine. Did my because I have a router wireless system as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, check those. It was fine. I'm on the phone with the guy, and I'm like, dude, nothing is working. He's like, oh, okay, let's send out a technician. I called them at like 6:30, and they just got a technician out to me like right now, like 45 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
This sounds like the intro to a gay porn.
Right? And then he's
that is Mario's life story.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done to your hard drive.
See, he made my floppy disk into a hard drive.
That's right.
Okay. So anyway, the technician was sent out.
Pushed your buttons.
Yeah, so the technician came out, and literally all he did is he plugged in a USB, hit click, click, click. Should work now. I was like, I'll fucking kill you. God damn it.
You said plug.
Did he what?
Did you ask him what the problem was?
No, I did. I was like, so is there anything I did or something? He's like, oh. Fucking professional, dude. Jesus Christ.
So basically he was a monkey. He just went in, pushed the button, and left.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what the problem is? It's my hard package.
I don't get that one.
Yeah, you were trying too hard on that. You can do better than that, Heather.
Yeah,
No,
that's
your
not a
hard
real.
package.
that's
It's
not a
actually,
real
I've
internet
seen that in porns before. It's my
What
hard
you need
package.
is more RAM.
There you go.
That's a good one. I'll
That was
give
pretty
Brown
good,
Man that.
actually. Yeah, that was pretty good, I have to say.
Okay. So moving away from porn.
So, Jamaal, when are you going to come out as a woman? That's my next question.
As a black woman.
You don't
We still
need
have
no
okay.
man.
I completely forgot where we were
Is that
at that conversation.
is that why you're losing weight? Is so that you can fit into a size 4 dress?
I'm losing weight because I'd like to be able to see my toes again.
Oh, so you can paint them?
Yes.
So when he gets bent over, he has something to play with. So Mario, Jamaal, this was your question. You asked Mario about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so it's impossible to make a good movie or a bad movie.
No, not that one.
Wait,
No, that's
wait,
yes, ask that
that's
one first.
actually a good question, though.
Yeah, ask that one first. That's a good one.
Okay, go ahead and ask that one.
Okay, because we were talking about Silent Hill, the Silent Hill franchise. It is impossible to make a bad movie good by making worse sequels. Is it possible to make a good or a bad movie good with better sequels? Don't mention Aliens.
Because somebody said Alien, somebody said Terminator.
Again, I'm still not 100% sold on the Terminator thing because again, I don't
Yeah.
think they're
Well,
they're
no.
not the
See,
two same kinds of movies.
But Terminator 1 was a great movie. Terminator 2 was even better.
Yeah.
It was
But
way better.
Yeah, but they're different genres, are they not?
No.
No.
Cameron is
I
great with
say
people.
so because the first one was a horror sci-fi thriller. The second one was a Schwarzenegger vehicle. It was a comedy, so it's a buddy cop thing.
Yes, but you still have a giant robot symbiote, fuck off cat, symbiote thing that's like coming after you. That's still a horror sci-fi, in all honesty. I mean, it's not as much as a horror sci-fi as like Alien.
They were both sci-fi action. They both had a killer from the future come to the past to try to alter the timeline.
No, Robert Patrick in that movie is not displayed in anywhere near the sort of ominous and danger and sort of foreboding presence that Schwarzenegger was in the first one.
I beg to differ.
See, no, I'm beg to differ on that one as well.
What's the scariest scene in there with Robert Patrick? Really, what's the
scariest one was when they're driving away and he fucking digs those nails into the back of the car.
That's not scary. No. That's cool.
How is that not scary? Because think about it. You are completely defenseless. This thing is coming at you, and the best you can do is shoot it to maybe push it off slightly. So when it comes back at you, it's just going to look at you with the same dead fucking white man stare and kill you again.
Really, when you saw that movie back then, those special effects just made that scene even more awesome.
I don't know.
The difference is the tone of each movie is so different that when Robert Patrick does something that should be scary, it just looks amazing.
No,
oh, don't get me wrong. No, they were.
That chase scene is scary. I don't care what anybody says when they're on the bikes and he's got the like anvil hands and he's like trying to get them and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
That's not a scene in that movie.
Yes, it is.
No.
What movie is that?
There is no anvil hands or bikes.
That's Lilo and Stitch.
No, that's
they're in a car and he's got the
I've
hook.
seen an X-Men
No, there's a bike scene in that movie. I tell you, there's a bike scene.
They had motorcycles. When
in the very beginning,
Robert Patrick is chasing down Connor in the tow truck.
That's what it is. I'm sorry, I'm getting two scenes mixed up.
I know the scene you're talking about. It's when the guy shows. No, the guy shows up an actual cop shows up on his bike and he turns him and says, "Nice bike."
Yes.
But he doesn't actually chase them down in that.
No, there's a lot of chase scenes, but those scenes where he actually has a little bit of a personality and he kind of smiles and he talks to John Connor's parents and they're like, "What's wrong with him?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing. It's cool." Those are the scarier scenes because this is a cold-blooded killing machine that has simulated the human condition enough to pass as human. He can go anywhere, be anybody, do anything. He can be the fucking floor. And then rise up and fucking kill you. Tell me that's not fucking scary.
Hold on, guys. Can that be this week's title? He can be the fucking floor.
He can be the fucking floor. There is a lot of horror elements in there. They diffuse it a little bit more. But
it's turned into a summer blockbuster event, away from what it was in the beginning, which is more like Outland, which is the movie we watched this week, where it was this merger of genres, and it turned into it was a serious flick. Whereas T2 was really just something to get the audiences into theaters for the summer.
T2 was still a serious flick. James Cameron did everything he could not to make the Terminator the butt of any jokes, and he even cut out the one where the Terminator tried to smile because it looked too clownish. Like if you look at Terminator 3: Rise of the Machine, when he comes out of the bar and he puts on those star glasses because it's fucking stripper night or whatever, or he does the talk to the hand thing, that is a completely different movie.
Yeah, I don't like that movie.
That is supposed to be a comedy. That had nothing to do with any of the Terminator films.
So you're gonna answer the film question? Are you gonna answer it, Mario? What's your?
Okay, yes. Give Mario a chance to answer it.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the question was?
God, no.
You cannot make a bad film better by making worse sequels.
Oh, that. God, I can't think of one. No.
Can you make a good film bad by making a bad sequel?
Yes.
Yes. God, yes. Starship Troopers.
Oh.
Why don't we go ahead and move on to the main topic of discussion? Speaking of horrible places to live, we go to Outland, the Sean Connery vehicle about being a sheriff in space.
I want to tell you the reason why I picked this movie is because
You like
when I
Sean
was
Connery?
when I was a kid, I saw this movie before I saw Alien. Even though Alien came out first, I didn't see it until later. My dad actually took me to go see Alien. And he took me to go see Apocalypse Now at the theater. So my dad had no reservations about taking kids to movies that were crazy.
I envy you for being able to see APOC now in the theaters.
Yeah, it was really actually very scary. I think I was on like 5 or 6, but I remember
Oh,
it.
that's soul crushing for a child.
Yeah. But
Imagine
I
being
remember
a
this
child.
movie so clearly because there was something about. Now I watched it today and I was like, oh my god! But there was something about it that just felt so cool. Like this idea that there was this space station and these people in this space station and everything seemed so new and the technology was so cool and just the idea of putting a mystery in space like really intrigued me at the time. Now I watch it and I'm like, oh my god, what is this?
It's so cliche.
Yeah, it was actually quite terrible.
I know, right?
No, I really, really, really like this movie.
Oh no, I liked the movie, don't get me wrong, but it was like,
There's
okay,
some
let me
there like
hold on, let me put it
yeah.
this way. Within the first 10 seconds of Sean Connery being on screen, he talks about beating his child's teeth out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Again, this is made before Generation PC came along, so jokes like that could be made.
Well, he
This
talked
is
about.
true.
He said the same thing to the doctor character too, who I forget what her character name was, but basically it was Mrs.
Miss-
Cliff Clavin.
Yeah.
Mrs. McClaven, yeah.
Yeah, he talked about knocking her teeth out of her head too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he just goes around beating people for no reason.
I
Just like Sean
know.
Connery.
Did you love the painted backgrounds?
Or the models and the
Yeah, the
Yeah.
models and the painted backgrounds. I love it.
I like
Honestly,
those.
I was able to pick those out more than I was in Alien franchise and Star Wars. Like I was able to tell that those were painted on.
Yeah.
This
I
one
don't
was
know if
a little bit lower budget.
Yeah.
The lighting was a little bit off. It was a little harsher, unfortunately. So it really made it look less grand.
Yeah.
I think if they had a little bit bigger of a budget, it would have looked a lot better.
Definitely.
But I actually kind of like the sets. Where all the workers were in the scaffolding was kind of weird. It was very claustrophobic. It was very very
It was
weirdly set up.
It was expensive though.
It was very expansive. This was shot at Pinewood Studio, which is the largest soundstage in Europe and I think in the world.
Yeah.
So they had the room to spread out and do all this stuff. So this was probably all done at one soundstage. But it's his apartment, the sheriff's office, those looked really cool and almost looked like that would be the kind of thing you would see in the future
Yeah.
of the space station.
Yeah, it holds up
Definitely.
well. It holds up well. The interiors holds up well over time. As movies go today, there's not a whole lot. Again, if you guys haven't seen Moon, I highly suggest you see it. But there isn't a whole lot of difference between those sets and what I saw in Moon, which just came out 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it was a couple years back.
But yeah,
I-
this decade.
I felt like though the interior scenes were like it's like the other side of Mos Eisley. You know, like there's the one side where all the aliens hang out, and then there's the other side
The offices.
where
Yeah.
the Sean Connery people hang out. Like it felt like that to me.
It did feel like they went through the trash and picked out set pieces from other sci-fi movies of the time, like Star Wars or like I can't ever remember the one.
Come on, Alex, you can do it. Use your brain.
The Electric Sheep Dream. What was the name of that movie?
Blade
No
Runner.
one help him.
Blade
I was gonna
Runner?
say no one
Yeah.
help him.
Yeah, Blade Runner, Star Wars, Star Trek, anything like that. It looks like they picked out those set pieces and cobbled together a new one.
I gave
But-
him that because he got the title of the story right, so he knows what
Okay,
he's
yeah,
talking
you're
about.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, cat.
Hey,
So, how are your cats doing, Mario? Let's take a cat break.
Oh, we're doing
Cat
cat break now.
Cat break.
We
We can't do cable break anymore because your system seems to be doing pretty good. So, cat break.
Okay. Actually, nothing to report. Oh no,
No fleas.
well, no, one of them is absolutely in love with me, and it sucks because I wear nothing but like dark colored t-shirts, and the cat is white and puffy, so I have a black t-shirt that's covered in white puffy fur all the time now.
So you don't like white chicks?
Not really.
That's all right, buddy. You take as much time as you like and find the right one.
I'm dating someone right now, you prick.
That's it. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy for you, bro.
Just
really
as long as it ain't no white pussy.
The cable guy doesn't count. That was just a one-night stand.
Well, as Alex said, well, I mean, as long as I get some, it doesn't really matter, right?
That's right, buddy. As long as you get it. As long as
Yeah,
you get
see?
it. Find a second.
Hey, fuck
Oh
you
my
guys.
god, Jamaal,
Date.
you're like the best.
I'm dating an Indian girl, all right? Fuck you all.
Good for you. Good for you, buddy.
Native or dot?
Native.
Okay.
Wait, what did you say?
What?
Native
He said
or
he's
what?
Dot.
Dot?
Yeah. What, you've never heard that?
No, I
No,
have not.
Alex, it's dot or feather.
Dot or feather?
feather.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am so sorry to anybody we're offending tonight. I mean,
Oh,
after
just
last,
bleep it
So
out.
Paul is the only one we're offending.
Right.
you're not offending me, but I'm just apologizing for you.
Don't apologize for me.
We're not apologizing.
Oh,
So
please keep listening to the show.
If I wanted to apologize for anything I'd said, I would go hire somebody to apologize for me. You don't have to do it for me.
You wouldn't be able to afford.
You want to finish that thought?
Afford somebody to actually do stuff for you.
There you go, buddy.
It took him a minute.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I
So
thought I'd said it out. Never mind.
no,
But
you have to use your mouth and your words.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
So Mario, give us your impression of Outland. But have you seen this movie before, or is this the first time?
no, this is the first time I'd seen it.
Okay.
Actually didn't even know this existed until Heather said something about it. You know, I enjoyed it. I watched it. Yeah, I didn't watch it all in one go. I watched it like here, there, kind of thing as I was going to bed for multiple nights. Honestly, it really didn't keep my attention too long. I could do like, I think the longest I watched it in a row was like 30 minutes, and then I would just fall asleep. There's nothing. It was a good movie all in all, but nothing that really stuck with me.
The pace is a little slow.
Yeah, and it was at times. There were some parts that were fantastic, but I mean, for the most part, it was just drug on for me. And you know, honestly, how you said how it looked like they grabbed things from other movies and just threw them in there. And wait, when did this movie come out again?
82?
Was it
81.
82?
81.
81. Okay. But you know, it did look like it shared a lot of similarities with a lot of the other movies from that era and from before era, from that decade.
Well, it's interesting because there's this movie, and then '82, The Thing came out. So, and The Thing is an epic movie, and The Thing has a lot of great special effects.
Yes.
So it's interesting that
this movie reminded me of was how people compare The Matrix to Equilibrium.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
this was a good movie. It was solid. It had everything that you wished for in a horror movie. I mean, the first 5 minutes when that guy was freaking out, he's like, "Oh, the spiders!" And everyone's like, "Oh, you know, Billy's being a jackass." Like that was actually scary. Like that was like,
yeah.
These dudes aren't gonna help him, are they? Like he's gonna kill. Oh, he just killed people. All right then, and then we get into Sean Connery beating children. So,
which is also scary.
Which is funny.
Again, not unjust.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. This movie was like the Equilibrium of the 80s.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I sense that definitely.
And then, you know, Alien came out, and fucking every other sci-fi horror movie of the time came out, and it just got. I mean, me personally, it was undershadowed for me. I never would have heard about this movie. I never knew this movie existed. Same thing with Matrix and Equilibrium. I didn't know Equilibrium came out until like 3 years after the movie had been released. And that's what I kept thinking after when I got off work today. I was like, this movie really reminded me, the parallels were the same, the way that they came out. it was a great movie. It was a good movie. I'm not going to say great movie. It was a good movie. It was a solid movie. I'll give it that. With actually a really good lineup of actors as well. That just fell short. And something like Alien and Aliens, and Predator, Predator, and The Thing, as you said. I mean, The Thing was goddamn. That was such a scary movie.
I know, right?
Again, I loved it though, and it was only released a year later. Yeah, because Outland came out in '81, right?
Yeah,
Jamaal?
so it came out in
Yeah.
'82. Yeah.
So I mean, they were written around the same time. Pre-production was around the same time. Post-production was around the same time as well. And, given 6 to 9 months, but I mean, that's really short time. But The Thing fucking made me pee myself.
I know, right?
That's how scary.
I saw The Thing in the theaters too.
I hate you. I'm so jealous.
It just makes me old. But yes, I do remember. I don't know. There were some great scenes in this movie. There was some nice work with down the hallways with we were trying to figure out if it was on track or if it was just handheld. But there was the chase scene through the hallways was actually
That
pretty
had to have
interesting.
been a track because handheld and like Steadicam wasn't developed until Alien.
Until Rocky.
No. Alien was the first implementation of a Steadicam.
Let's see when
Was
Alien
it?
came out.
Yeah.
Alien. Let's look. I think Alien came out before this. Did it not?
Alien came out. Jamaal, help us on this one.
71 or 79.
79.
Okay, so it was Rocky then.
So 2 years prior
Yes.
to this.
Yeah, Rocky was 76.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the stairway scene.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting trivia.
Yeah, that was the first implementation. Okay, Rocky was the first implementation of
Steadicam.
Of a Steadicam.
But it
that's
was
right.
But
Because
those
Alien
scenes
was
were
the first
actually
implementation of a non-filmic use of a Steadicam. That's what Alien was.
I think it's interesting though that those scenes now, back in the 80s, that was like very, very dynamic and it was probably very irreverent and cutting edge.
Yeah.
Now we do that all the time. We see it all the time. So it was kind of interesting to see it in a movie in space where they could kind of play with that idea or play with that technique. And
well, the way the sets were built, it was so claustrophobic that's really the only way they could have really filmed it was to have the camera guy running along with you. And
that was a great decision on the DP and the director's part, because how else are you going to feel more claustrophobic when you can't get away from the actor when he's 10 feet in front of you?
Right.
You're stuck. You want to look behind the actors. You want to see what's going on around you. Can you? Fuck no.
Nope.
No. But I think it's interesting too that this movie used a lot of like those kind of tricks. I think they were trying to be more irreverent with the text, and all the computers and stuff. Whereas Alien, that came out a little bit before that, used the absence of sound to create that same effect. So that to me was interesting, because it created the same kind of claustrophobicness. One with the use of the I don't know if it was Handycam or not, but the use of that shaky camera feel versus just taking out sound creates that emptiness in space.
And honestly, one of my, this isn't just because I'm a sound person or anything, but sound is key to the film itself. I would recommend we don't even have to do this for the show, but I'm just saying I would like for you guys to watch the movie Monster.
Okay.
What's his face? The guy that did, was it Monster?
Monsters?
The Host. I'm sorry.
The Host.
It's known as Monster in America, but in Japan.
The one about the sea creature?
Yes.
It's called The Host, yeah.
Fucking creepy as shit. But I watched that and that. All right then. I watched that and the absence of sound as well as the play on sound, it actually messed with me, because there were a couple times where I actually looked behind me or I looked around to see what was going on, and it was just the TV at that point in time. So I mean, if you want to see a great representation of sound itself, I'd recommend seeing the movie.
Okay, I'll check it out.
So, Jamaal, what were your impressions of Outland today?
I'm surprised none of you have brought up. Well, there's a great many things that I could bring up. One, the storyline in itself and how it's about combating the evil corporations and plutocracies and things like that. But I'm surprised none of you have brought up the fact that it's a remake.
It's a remake?
It's not necessarily, but
that answers your question, Jamaal.
It's a space western based on High Noon. You guys seen High Noon?
I have seen High Noon, yes.
Years ago.
Come on.
The lone sheriff in town who actually goes from person to person asking, 3 guys are coming to kill me. I'm trying to save this town. Will any of you help me? Nobody shows up. This is High Noon done over again. And they actually mentioned that as they were reviewing this movie back when it first came out. It is a direct, adaptation of that story, just set on a space station. And I really like the way this movie was done. A lot of things work for me. The tone and the claustrophobia that comes with the way it was shot and the way the sets were built and the way it follows, particularly in that end sequence where you follow the doctor as she's running through that hallway, trying to lock people out. I mean, that really builds tension there. Especially the way that camera doesn't really turn all that much. When it picks a hallway to shoot down, it stays with that person. So when she's running back, you don't know if the person has entered the room that she just left. So I think that just added to the tension that was in that scene. I think it holds up well. Really, I love the story. It's such a simple story. It's a Western. Again, it's just the guy's family leaves. He's there. He's a lone man doing what he believes is right and is willing to stand behind it. Again, it's that conversation we had last week about what American fans want is idealism, not necessarily characters. God, I like that it was a serious sci-fi film. It's not Star Wars. Star Wars at its core, it's a blockbuster. It's probably the first blockbuster, as maybe Jaws beats it, but that's we can debate that.
It's very interesting that you talk about High Noon. I'm looking at IMDb right now, and it says it's a remake. But it's very interesting that you say that, and it makes sense as to why I would gravitate towards it, because I grew up. One of the things my dad did right, there's not very many, but he really introduced us to film, because he was kind of a film buff, and he loves film. So I've seen a bazillion films in my time, but one of the things that he really loved was Clint Eastwood westerns. So I've seen just about every Clint Eastwood western there is out there. I've probably seen every John Wayne western too. But now that you're talking about this, Sean Connery really reminds me of Clint Eastwood in his western days. It's a kind of the same feel. So I could see why
that overt masculinity.
Yeah, as a kid, I could see why this movie really affected me, because I remember it to this day. I remember, I'm 42 years old now, and I probably saw this movie when I was 5 or 6, 7 maybe, around that time. And I've seen it 3 or 4 times since then as a kid, and I just remember thinking, wow, this is such a great movie. The guy is going after the killer kind of thing. What's going to happen? But I think it reminds me of those old westerns where Sean Connery was, Clint Eastwood was the badass going into town and doing whatever it takes to get the bad guy. And he's kind of a vigilante where, at the end, Sean Connery punches that guy in the face. I knew that was going to happen, but that is such a Clint Eastwood move. That's such a Western move.
It's a cathartic moment.
Yeah, where he punches the guy in the face, because up until that point, he's just been playing the straight man and he's been just putting up with stuff and staying neutral, and then that last moment he punches him like, okay, I've had it, I'm done.
Well, he was very much the consummate lawman. He was, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. You're doing something wrong, so I'm coming after you, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It was never personal. It was never, it was business up until that last scene. That last scene was very personal because that guy was a big pain in the ass to Sean Connery.
And he just got out of space as someone was trying to kill him.
That guy was Peter Boyle. Many of you know him as Raymond's dad from Everybody Loves Raymond.
I love Peter Boyle. I don't know. I mean, I see movies like Gravity, and everybody was like, oh my God, Gravity is the best movie ever. You have to watch it. So we watched it, and I was all, really? This is going to be some chick in space for 2.5 hours. Are you kidding me? And it was so cliche. Like, I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it. And I was like, if this had been a low-budget movie, would it have even gotten the credit that it did?
But if it was a low-budget movie, it probably would have been better.
Yeah, if it was a low-budget movie, yes. No, if that movie was a low budget.
Yeah, I love that movie, and I think you're missing the point of that movie. The movie isn't exactly about the storyline or even about Sandra Bullock. The movie is the story of that movie is the visuals. That's what is different about that movie from anything else.
Well, why even have a screenplay then?
A movie is about visuals, really. That's what you just said.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're telling me you're telling me Life of Pi deserved its award for cinematography that year?
I did not see Life of Pi.
Ugh. I feel like that movie was such a waste of space. It just
That's funny.
I know, right?
Don't kill yourself, Alex.
But no, it really was though. It really was. It was a waste of space. There was so much you could do with a complex character like that, and we went so fucking trite and cliche with it. Seriously, this is about your kid dying? Like, that is a huge subject. Like, can we go deep with that? We're in space, for Christ's sake. Let's go deep. Let's make it happen.
Ask you this. How long do you think that movie was? Or how long
million hours. I felt like I was in space.
How long did it feel to you?
A million zillion hours.
Okay, because it's
hang on.
As a normal documentary, it was 91 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like it was 6 hours long. I was like, can we just get this movie over with?
Hang on.
Could you just die already? Because I'm done.
Hang on. You see this lady in space, and she's going from one platform to another, and you want to know more about her kid dying?
Yeah, that's what I want to know about, because this is what's motivating her. This is what's either she's going to live or die in these moments, and whether she forgives herself for what happened to her kid or she doesn't is what's keeping her alive.
I think we can all relate to staying alive. That's part of
but it's that instinctual thing. Is she going to forgive herself or not? It's a story of redemption. That's what the movie is about. So let's go deep with it. Let's get stupid.
So you would have slowed down the movie. You would have slowed down the movie.
I would have made a movie about a character and not about the visuals. I would have made it a real redemption story about a woman who was going.
Then I would say you went to a movie to see something else other than that movie. I think you went to see the wrong movie.
I don't go to movies to see somebody jerking off at the computer, and that's what that was.
The story of this, like she says, this chick in space who's alone with her demons, who only sees George Clooney. They could have gone with just voices. They could have made the whole thing like radio transmissions from NASA and have her child talk to her through her radio instead of having George Clooney come in.
I feel like that's nitpicking there. You're just mad because George Clooney was the guy that she was talking to?
No.
I'm mad about his character. His character was just superfluous in the whole thing.
It's the same year as American Hustle, and I didn't like that movie either. And everybody thought the movie was so incredible.
I was very disappointed in that one.
How is George Clooney's character superfluous throughout that movie?
The only thing that he really does in that movie is ride around on that jetpack. That's the only thing he does.
He's the pilot.
And after. And he plays a pretty good pilot. He's brash. He's not serious about anything. He's kind of a show off. But after he lets her go, and after he goes out of radio transmission, that's the end of his story. Him coming back in the pod was just unnecessary.
Again, him coming back in the pod is just to add the fact that it makes sense because he was the guy. He saved her. She looked up to him. She respected this man. He's showing it. In fact, he saved her twice in that movie, sacrificed his life for her. I mean, he's savior at that point. So the fact that he comes back and actually saves her again on some subconscious level, I think it's very prophetic.
You do realize that the only reason why she needed saving is because she's kind of an idiot in that movie.
That's everything too. Why does a man need to go and save her? She's a freaking astronaut. She can deal with it. You know what I mean?
A man doesn't actually go and save her at that point.
No, hold on. When NASA says, get your ass back in the shuttle, you drop what you're doing and you get your ass back in the shuttle. Being in space is no fucking joke. Okay?
Isn't that what she did?
No, she was
trying to.
No, she was trying to repair whatever it was that she was repairing. And she completely ignored NASA. And even George Clooney was saying, get your ass back in the shuttle. Had she dropped everything and gotten back in the shuttle, there would have been no need for the rest of that movie.
Hang on. I'm looking that up right now.
That is like within the first 10 minutes of that movie. That's the whole catalyst. It's because she refused. She is an astronaut and probably in the Air Force, and she disobeys orders. Yeah, I don't really feel sorry for her.
I don't remember that scene because they all died in that scene. I don't think anything she would have done. I don't think any amount of if she had dropped it and left would have changed anything because they all died out there.
No, but they would have had a better chance. No, but they would have had a better chance.
Back.
No,
yeah, my bad.
It could be a matter of minutes that saves your life. If you're okay, look at Saving Private Ryan. There was that one character who gets shot in the helmet, and he's like, "Oh my God, my helmet saved my life," and he takes off his helmet, and then he gets shot in the head. That guy died because he was an idiot. He should have gotten down and not picked up his head and maybe fired off his weapon. He shouldn't have sat up and said, "Oh wow, my helmet saved my life," and take it off. That is the exact same thing Sandra Bullock did, except
even the people on board the actual ship they were trying to get back to died because of the debris they came. Nothing that was she could have done in that moment was going to change any of that. That all of that carnage was going to happen anyway, no matter where they were.
No, but they could. But like they said earlier, if they would have gotten into that space shuttle, they could have been able to avoid the debris.
Mm-hmm.
How? No, there was absolutely even the guy that absolutely dropped everything and was on his way there died before he even got to the ship.
Jamaal, listen to the audio next time.
What?
Watch that movie again. They say in that, if we get into the space shuttle, we'll be able to clear the debris.
Right.
Yes.
If you get into the space shuttle and then they start heading towards the shuttle,
and they were delayed because of her.
No. The other guy actually leaves the other two behind. Clooney goes back for Bullock. The other guy, he books immediately, and never makes it.
That doesn't mean that that the other two wouldn't have made it. That the shuttle wouldn't have made it. It just means that guy had bad luck.
Yes, it does. Unless those people in the shuttle actually stopped and took off, like without the other three, nothing would have changed.
Is that movie really 91 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. I'm done trying to defend the movie. I will rest my laurels on the fact that it's 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, 96 on Metacritic, and 7.9 on IMDb.
Transformers also made $1 million bazillion, so I don't trust.
And then got 17s and 18s when the critics were reviewing it.
Yeah, but they still go to see the movie in droves. Like I said, it doesn't matter what critics say; it matters what the American dollar says.
705 million at the box office.
Let's get back to this Outland movie. So, do you
Gravity.
think that Outland is a movie of its time, or do you think that it kind of paved the way for sci-fi?
I think the point I was making before we got sidetracked with this blasphemous talk.
Oh, you mean how you were wrong?
No. Again, I am the one that actually can verify that it was a good movie because I have the facts to go behind it. Anyway,
there's no
facts?
Okay, so the
ratings, dude.
The very idea of a critic is that it's an opinion. So this is all opinion.
Okay, $705 million at the box office. Is that an opinion or is it an actual number, like approval from the general public?
Would you consider Citizen Kane a good movie?
Yes.
Because it didn't get good critical reviews.
No,
it bombed at the box office.
Then, what do people say about it now?
Okay, so in 50 years, let's see what people say about Gravity.
Let's
It's
wait
true.
50 years.
I bet you it doesn't hold up as long.
I bet you. I bet you.
I'm gonna
the
knock on
exact
your door in
opposite.
50 years and put it on my calendar right now.
I bet you the exact opposite. Anyway, what the point I was trying to make with Outlander or Outland was
Outland.
yeah, genre films get left out in the cold.
They do. You're absolutely right about that. I agree with you on that statement. I'm trying to think of a sci-fi movie that made it to the Academy Awards or made it to the
Star
Gravity.
Wars. Star Wars.
Star Wars did.
Wars
Not the
did, but
Grammys. The what's the other
Oscars.
one? The Oscars and the other one. What's
Golden
it? Golden
Globes.
Globe. Golden Globe.
People's Choice.
Inception.
Inception. Oh, I loved Inception.
Are you going to tell me Inception is completely a story about people invading dreams?
You
I
want me
loved
to piss you
Inception.
off? Because I can.
I know, totally.
So you're agreeing with my point.
Inception is
Of
intriguing.
what?
See, Inception is about a guy who's dealing with the death of his wife, and how every time he thinks he's over it, memories of her pop up and kind of screw up his day and sabotage his day. That is all that movie's about. And whether he's in someone's dream and that happens in a most literal format, or if it's a metaphorical thing where he's sitting there and then all of a sudden he realizes him and his wife used to sit there at that particular place or go to that particular restaurant and he starts to cry, is a different story. That's what the story is about.
Right. And that's you're making my point for me. That great sci-fi is less about those weird concepts and more about the people around it.
Yes.
I agree with you on that. I totally do.
It's about the story and about the human condition. That's Star Trek. That's why you love Star Trek, because that's exactly what Star Trek's about.
Yeah, and Birdman has fantastical elements in it, but it's still about the that person, that character.
Yeah.
What's another sci-fi movie?
Why vote on that, but not something like an Outland?
I'm trying to think of other movies that made it that had the sci-fi or fantasy element to them. So Inception. What else?
Not a lot, because nobody votes on them.
But can you think of a really good fantastical movie that would deserve an Oscar or would deserve a Golden Globe that really goes to that place?
One has already won it. The best picture of 2006, I believe, was Lord of the Rings. Not the third one, the
Return of the King.
Return of the King.
Did it win?
Yeah.
Oscar? Huh. Okay. So that's the only one? I don't really like the Lord of the Rings movies. I think they're really, really long and boring.
Again, you're some of the only people I've ever heard say that.
Really? That movie is just about a bunch of little people that run around. Like, if I want to see that, I'll go to the zoo.
It's all there's so much walking in that movie that even the trees walk.
It's a very confusing film too. There's a lot that happens and you gotta keep track of shit, and it's like you gotta take notes to watch those movies. Oh my god. I watched the 9 hours or 10 hours or 40 hours, I don't know how long it was, all the extended cuts, because I was like, ooh, I'm finally getting to this movie in an entirety, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of time that I can't get back. It was just really, really, really tedious.
E.T., Avatar, these are movies that are sci-fi based that have been nominated.
Okay, Avatar. I didn't like Avatar.
So basically once every 5 to 7 years, something.
Yeah.
Like that.
District 9.
District 9 I hated. Why do people like that movie?
People love that movie. I like that movie.
I like that movie. I thought it was...
That movie is so boring.
The thing I hate about that movie is that the first half is done documentary style and then the second half is done narrative.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really kind of threw me off. It changes narration style halfway through.
But it's also really shaky, like bad shaky. Like there was a movie with
I appreciated the shaky.
With Penn. What's his name? Sean Penn. He's just crazy. There's a movie with him that got a lot of accolades, and I started to watch it, and it was about something Sam.
Son of Sam.
Son of Sam or something. Not Son of Sam.
I Am Sam.
I Am Sam. And I couldn't get through that movie because it was so shaky. I was like, seriously, like lock this stuff down. Like, seriously, like, can we just have one shot?
That was the nice thing about this film, this Outland, that they were running through the halls and the camera was a little shaky, but you could still see what was going on. It wasn't like Bourne Identity shaky. It was actually, it made you feel like you were in the action, but it didn't make you feel like you couldn't see the action.
And now that I'm talking about, like, I hate that movie. I actually like a lot of movies. It's just, I think, I don't know. I think for me, if it's not compelling and if I can figure it out in the first 10 minutes, then to me, it's just not worth watching. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these movies is like, I kind of figure, I've just watched so many movies that I figure it out. And then I'm like, meh. Like, one of the movies that I absolutely adore, and you guys probably all hate it, is Minority Report. I love that
I hate
movie.
that movie.
I figured you probably would.
They're coming out with a TV series based on that movie.
Yeah.
I hate that series.
I love Minority Report.
Isn't that the one with fucking the guy
Tom
that went
Cruise.
crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. I love
I
that.
like that he's the guy that went crazy.
I know.
Well, no, was it? He was the guy that went crazy on Oprah's couch.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
I love that movie because it's.
How you barely know who Tom Cruise is? He's been like the biggest star for the last 15 years.
I love that movie because it's obvious, but it's not. There's some twists and turns in it that make it interesting. You kind of have to figure it out, and that's what I love about it. And on that same note, I don't like that movie Edge of Tomorrow because, oh my God, like seriously, do we have to watch the same thing over and over and over for 2 hours? Was it Edge of Tomorrow, the one with?
Yeah, that's also with Tom Cruise, where he keeps repeating the same day.
Yeah, that movie I thought was going to be interesting, but it wasn't. It was just very like, there was no twists and turns. I was waiting for like the twist, and there wasn't. And I just sort of.
It was a straightforward, cliche Tom Cruise movie that was just so happened to have sci-fi elements to it.
Right.
How is that not Minority Report to a T?
Minority Report was interesting.
I could tell how that ended before it started.
Well, I did too. I figured out who that was. I figured out who the killer was right away, but it didn't matter. I wanted to see how he got there. It was
because Tom Cruise's character was flawed. He had a drug problem because he was dealing with the death of his kid that he blamed himself for. Well, not the death of his kid, but the disappearance of his kid. We don't really know if the kid died or not. Yeah. But he blamed himself for that because he was supposed to be watching. And it really wasn't his fault. It could have happened to anybody. He takes his eyes away for 1 second, and when he turns back, the kid's gone. And it's the rest of the movie is him dealing with this, and it kind of enters into the cliche American cop drama.
It does, yeah.
But then they add layers to it. Now he, instead of being a shoot 'em up show, he actually starts revering this precog as his son and is making up for his failures as a father with this woman, even though apples and oranges here. He's kind of using her as a surrogate.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. There's a movie called Gone Baby Gone. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. It's one of Ben Affleck's first movies, and
directorial movies.
Yeah, directorial movies, and that movie was so intriguing to me too because you think you know what's going to happen. You think it's a formula movie, but it's not. They lead you to believe that it is. He really used the hero's journey and the formula for an action movie, and then you turn it on its side.
That's also why I like Red State, because of the way Smith wrote it and then how he shot it. He got to a point where he knew what was going to happen, and he steps away from the computer and then goes and writes something else. So even when he thought he knew what was going to happen and the logical outcome of the movie, he changed it up. So
I get the sense that you guys go into movies and have expectations already.
Absolutely.
I go in and just I don't. I just go in and watch and see what happens.
I'm with you on that one, Jamaal.
It depends on the movie, and it depends on the hype of the movie. Like going into Terminator 2, unfortunately, I had expectations for that, but it didn't meet all the expectations I had. A lot of times,
did you have expectations for that?
Because it tells you exactly what the movie is in the fucking trailer.
And you believe those?
Oh, I don't.
Well, then you have expectations. And when I went into it, it met and surpassed the expectations I had for it. There are certain movies I don't have any expectations for. Like Gravity, I didn't really know anything about Gravity. When I went into it, everybody was saying it was good, so that's the only really expectation I had for it.
Right, but you said a bunch of the things were in there were predictable. You were already looking for those as the movie was happening. I tend to check out and just actually take the movie scene by scene for what it is.
I think it comes from being a writer and a producer, quite honestly, because once you get that bird's eye view and you know about the hero's journey, and you usually know, I like that book, Save the Cat. That's the formula for most movies. Once you read that book, it's really hard to get that out of your head. It really is. When you write screenplays and you know what the motivation is for most characters, it's hard not to start trying to decipher where the movie's going to go. And if I can figure it out in the first 5 minutes just by the clothes that the person is wearing, who the bad guy is and who the good guy is and who the killer is, the movie has failed me at that point.
No, when I, like, for instance, Minority Report, when I first saw that, I knew that Colin Farrell's character was going to be a dick in that movie, and I was right, but I didn't focus on it.
He actually wasn't a dick. He was actually trying to. He was the only person who was actually doing his job and doing his job well. He wasn't a dick. He was a lawman. He was just stuck in between.
He's being very dickish about it.
He was.
But I wasn't focusing on that. I saw it, I acknowledged that it was there, and then I just kind of pushed it aside or forgot about it, and I just kept watching the movie and took it for every scene for what it was at that moment. Like, I tried to enjoy each scene that came on. I wanted to enjoy it for what it was.
I think with movies, like, I watch some really crap movies. Like, I love watching all those stupid sci-fi movies. Like, those are the greatest movies ever. When I watch movies like that, I don't expect anything, and I don't even expect to be written well. So, I guess I watch those kind of movies and just kind of tune out, like,
and get lost. Like Sharknado.
Yeah, like Sharknado. I know you guys don't like Sharknado, but I do. I like all those stupid mega movies. I do watch those crappy movies though. Like, I just watched a movie about a mermaid killer. I don't know. I watch some really crappy movies. I do.
But you hate Gravity.
Right. Like,
I'm
gonna watch that.
Sit there for a sec.
I know, right? I'm gonna watch that beaver killer movie here pretty soon.
Zombievers?
Zombievers, yeah. That looks like a brilliant movie.
It's on Netflix. It's about zombie beavers.
Jesus Christ.
And women with swords.
Right.
And I think strippers, maybe.
Probably. See, that's the thing, though. Like, I like watching really kind of intense, in-depth movies, and then I like watching crappy movies.
Give me an example of a really intense, in-depth movie
that I like or that I love.
Yeah.
The Shining. I love The Shining. I've seen it so many times. I love Apocalypse Now. I love Goodfellas. I love Reservoir Dogs. Those are some of my top movies that I could watch over and over and over again. Let's see what else.
A lot of those are really art nouveau. Is that the word?
Nouveau.
Art nouveau.
Yeah, very new world.
Yeah, I like I love Inception. I've seen. Let's see what else. I like the Batman movies. I think those are pretty cute. Dark Knight is my favorite.
The Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah, I love those ones.
No, we were talking about the Shoemaker ones.
Yeah, I know. Batman and Robin, my favorite movie. No, I love Nolan's Batman. I love The Dark Knight. I think that's a brilliant film. I watch a lot of. The other thing too is I watch a lot of British movies and I watch a lot of British TV too. So I love character-driven things. Like, one of my favorite shows that I just saw recently was The Fall. I think that show is brilliant. I think it's so character-driven and it's so different than what you see in America. Yeah, like Luther's like that too. Luther is just a really great series. I love Sherlock too. Sherlock is probably one of my favorite shows too.
But Mario, were you saying that you saw Luther?
No, I saw Luther.
Oh, you saw Luther?
Yeah, I thought it was a little too melodramatic, but Alex and Mario, name a sci-fi film that really got you guys thinking. Like a film that really sort of like engaged you and engaged your intellectual side.
I'll let you go first, Mario.
Fucking, I'm thinking right now. My initial thought was Tremors, but that was when I was a child.
I love that movie.
Grab weights.
If they can make that into a movie, I see no reason why we don't have Attack of the Killer Tomatoes remake.
My son loved Tremors, and I've seen it so many times because like, let's watch the Worm movie again.
The first one's good. The other one's not so much.
And he also liked the first Dawn of the Dead, the Boomstick one.
Oh, the Evil Dead.
Yeah, he used to love Evil Dead.
It's a great movie.
Evil Dead is really good.
Did you come up with something?
Fucking, I had something and someone said Evil Dead and it lit just out of my head.
Need a pen and piece of paper so you can write that stuff.
Fucking, I need to from now on.
That's what I do.
Cripes. Alex, go.
Yeah, Prometheus.
I love Prometheus.
God, I hated that movie.
Is an amazing film.
I love it so much. Go ahead.
Aliens, Prometheus, Predator. I'll give you.
Okay. Hang on. Hey, Prometheus. Okay. What made you really kind of like it?
Let's not talk about that.
What really engaged you in that film? What really kind of like?
That's a whole show in itself.
Just give me the cliff notes.
As far as that goes, it's the whole theory of the beginning of humanity and how it may have been an experiment done by extraterrestrials.
Okay, and how do you think that was portrayed? Do you like the way it was shot? Do you like the way it looked? Do you like the way it sounded?
Yeah, all of that. There were some things that I think were not necessary, like the old guy, Wayland. I don't think his character is very necessary. It was a little cliche to have him on there, and he was a little. He didn't really add anything to the plot. The pilot, who is played by the guy who plays Luther, I forget his actual name. He was cool.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, but in the end, his character kind of dies off in a little kind of cliche way.
Saves the world.
He does technically, but it's the hero sacrifices himself to save the world. Kind of a cliche thing anymore, which is unfortunate that becomes cliche. But it's how the android kind of aids in the creation of what will soon be the alien that we all know and love from Aliens, or from Alien. And it's the whole thing of kind of treachery from the people that you trust, being the Wayland Company and one person's father, and even the android, all these people that you trust who betray basically the rest of the ship, and how this entire planet is something they should never have gone to, that they were not prepared to go to, but yet they had to go to find the answers for which they seek, which is the origin of humanity.
Yeah, I think the best part of that movie is the bro down at the end, where they finally get to talk to one of the beings, or the Anunnaki, I guess it would be considered, and he just bros down and he just wants to kill them. You know what I mean? I think that's like the most profound.
That our creators want to kill us?
Yeah, I love that, because it's like, wow, we always think that there's something infinite, or something more to life. And then they're all like, yeah, you were a mistake.
An experiment gone wrong, yeah.
You're the mistake.
But it's nice, too, because I love that scene, and everybody criticizes the scene where the android is talking to the scientists and they're having drinks, and the android has that alien goo on his hand. And he dips his finger in the drink and gives it to him, and everybody criticizes that because they're like, "Oh, didn't the guy see the android, dip that shit in his drink?" Yeah, he did see it, but that whole scene is the android asking permission to do this of the guy. He's like, "If you could be closer to God, would you?" And that's kind of the whole interpretation of this whole thing.
Okay, so you really did. It's a great movie, dude. Should you see that movie being nominated for something?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
But everybody hated it, including Mario.
Mario, why do you hate that movie?
For the exact same reason that they love it.
Oh, you're so
easiest way of putting it.
fragile in your humanity that you don't want to think you were a mistake.
No, first off, I was a mistake, and I'm completely...
Explains a lot.
So I think we just lost him.
Wait, am I here?
Oh, there, yeah, you're there.
good, go.
Okay.
Okay, so you're a mistake and you're completely comfortable with it?
Oh, God, yeah. I'm aware of it.
Okay. Yeah,
But-
same here.
No, you're
here.
not, buddy. You're just different in your own way.
No, I was a mistake.
Well,
My-
yeah.
my-
Oh
my
no,
dad-
you're a screw
In
up.
the words
Mario's
of my
alright, though.
mother, when I asked her, I was like, "Mom, was I a mistake?" She stopped, looked at me, pondered for a second, and said, "No, you were unexpected."
Same thing.
Is it
My,
difference?
My mom made the mistake of telling me. My mom told me once that my dad had a vasectomy, and at one point, and that was just kind of the end of the conversation. Your father had a vasectomy once, and I'm like, no, I didn't know that. And my life goes on, and several years later, we talk about it again, and she reveals a little more of the puzzle. Yeah, your father had a vasectomy before you were born. And I'm like, what? Wait, whoa! Doesn't that mean that kind of thing shouldn't happen? She's like, we thought. I'm like, ouch. That was ouch.
That's actually really funny. Okay, I thought of the movie that I was thinking of.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a Kubrick movie. It's not a lot of people know about it, but it's one of my favorites. Dr. Strangelove.
You like Dr. Strangelove? I love that movie.
Yeah, a lot of people love that movie.
Yeah. Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb is the actual title. One of my favorite movies from Kubrick, actually. Don't get me wrong, I love fucking name a movie from him. I enjoy it. I mean, he's a great storyteller, and he's a great writer, and all in all, just fantastic filmmaker. But this one, it made me laugh so goddamn hard because it's kind of don't get this steers away from the whole sci-fi thing from what we're initially talking about. Jamaal, have you seen the movie actually, Jamaal?
I've seen bits and pieces, not the whole.
Okay. Yeah, I would watch the whole movie. It's actually really funny. It's super short. It's like, I think it's 90 minutes. That
95.
Okay, 95 minutes. It's super fucking funny though. And it's not an intentionally funny movie. It's that dry just is funny because it's so true funniness. But it talks about the politicians and the generals of that era, how they would react to an atomic bomb being dropped somewhere, someplace, and they have no idea how to stop it. And how the normal human being would react to something like this, and the way this is like metadata, but it's like the people that are playing the generals and the politicians are the same character. The what's his face, Sellers, and the general in that film itself apparently was not told that it was a serious movie when it was being shot. He was told it was a serious movie and it wasn't going to be a comedy movie, or kind of like Dante's Inferno, kind of comedy, dark comedy. That's what I was looking for.
Black comedy.
Yeah. So when they were shooting the movie, he was dead serious. Apparently, like all of his reactions were dramatic, and they were verbose and just very over the top if you think about it. But then, I'm watching this movie 40, 50 plus years later, and that's almost, I mean, we've all seen people act like that nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy who has that strong opinion about something and won't let it go.
Jamaal.
And then
how am I? Okay, never mind. Just go ahead.
Yeah, just not now. And then at the same time, you have the people who are very sympathetic and trying to help everybody out. Well, they're not really taking care of what needs to get done. They're just taking care of the immediate, and all of these little character moments within that film itself. And and onto the rednecks and everything. In the most iconic scene, the guy riding on the guy riding on the bomb. But just everything about that film, in itself, but it was one of the first movies that made me think, like, holy shit, like this is actually kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is exactly how it would happen. And on top of that, when they were doing it was the B-52 bomber, when Kubrick was showing it, he was never given permission to use the model. He was never given blueprints. He guessed how that plane would be made. He hired professional he hired pilots, he hired engineers, and they built the B-52 without the government's
knowledge.
just none of that. built it, and the movie almost didn't come out. They built it like 99.9% accurate to what the actual B-52 is.
That's crazy.
Because the B-52 hadn't come out for public.
Oh, wow.
And so when he built this thing off of what makes sense and how an actual...
You cut out again.
Fucking Christ, seriously? How about now?
We've been
Better.
going for like 3 hours and 38 minutes, and my thing is gonna almost die. I'm at 9% right now.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
okay.
let's go ahead and wrap this up.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us, Heather Woodward. Do really appreciate you showing up.
No problem.
It was nice to have a woman's point of view on this whole thing, and
See, we know girls.
another point of view that that shows that Jamaal is wrong.
No, Jamaal.
Oh, Jamaal, you're really
Alex
smart,
knows girls.
actually.
Thank you.
You're
But
wrong.
I really want to hear what the fans think. Maybe they should go to somewhere like, I don't know, mof.ninja.
Go to mof.ninja.
Yeah, all 6 of our fans.
We have more than 6 fans.
We love all 6 of you.
Go to MOF Ninja and let us know how wrong you think Jamaal is.
And if you
Really
agree with
shoot-
Alex, he'll give you $1.
If you agree with Alex, Mario will give you $1.
Neither of them have $1.
No, but it's Jamaal's
You
turn
don't know
to pick a movie this week. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
that. See, if you say Gravity, I'm gonna fucking quit this thing right now.
Gravity.
You're a whore. Fuck,
Gravity.
kill you.
Are you being serious?
Gravity. No, I won't make you guys go through that, even though you're both clearly wrong.
I don't know. You always go by majority, and a majority of the people here don't like it. So there you go.
Well, I'm going with the majority of society. 97% of critics like it, and $705 million worth of fan tickets like it.
Yeah, well, 3 out of 4 people on the show don't like it. So that's all I care about.
Okay, sure.
Hey, so when we first came in, you guys were talking about porno. Can we make a porno a movie to watch one week just to see if we can get the viewers to watch it?
I usually leave links to the movie, so I would have to be able to find one. But we can do a show where we do an X-rated film and a legitimate film. But it would have to be, I would think, an X-rated film of some sort of note or worth watching.
Well, why don't you do a parody of a movie, like watch The Simpsons and watch The Simpsons porn or something like that?
Oh, no. I got it. We'll watch Good Will Hunting, and then we'll watch Good Will Humping.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Why not saving Private Ryan than shaving Ryan's privates?
How about the Terminator and the Sperminator?
How about Armageddon and Armageddon on?
But they've come out already.
You guys clearly know too many pornos.
They've already come out with the porn parody of Batman versus Superman.
What is it?
Yeah.
What's the title?
It's just called Batman versus Superman, the XXX porn parody. They've kind of gotten lazy in their.
Yeah, clearly.
in their
Oh,
old
you know what we should do? We should watch the most expensive porno ever made.
Pirates?
Pirates.
I've seen it. My
How do
mom
you
gave it
both
to
know
me.
that?
How do you not know that?
How do you? Because it was $200 million.
Wait,
Oh, it wasn't that much.
Yeah, it
Rewind.
was.
Your mom gave you Pirates, a porno?
Yeah, when I got married, it was my present.
Huh.
Yeah,
I guess
she gave me
Jamal's the only one that thought it was weird.
she gave me a 3-foot salami and the movie Pirates, the porn.
Yeah, but that's
Now-
because you're Italian.
I know.
That first one makes complete sense.
Again, I'm so sorry to all the people we're offending.
Who?
All you Italians out there, please just.
I'm
ignore
Italian. Well, I'm Sicilian. But
There she go.
it's really not that good. I saw it and I was like, really, $200 million, really? This is what this is. But
Well, no,
Or-
hang on.
Go
What show is this? Well, we're on number what right now?
13
No,
and a half.
this would be number
19.
9. This would be number 9.
Okay, so screw what I said earlier. Remember we said about our 10th one we were going to do the marathon?
Sure.
Yeah, but I didn't think we were serious about that.
Okay, so you guys aren't serious about it?
I don't care.
what's the marathon?
Just a film franchise that we could all watch,
Oh.
like movie to movie.
Yeah, I remember this. It was supposed to be Alien because I was gonna bro down with.
Well, no,
I was gonna throw out
Mario.
Rambo.
that was Prometheus, and we were going to wait until Prometheus 2 came out, and then you two could go at it about Prometheus.
Jesus Christ, Prometheus 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Right. That's right, bitch. It is.
Okay, I was gonna throw out Rambo. Does anybody have a suggestion?
Prometheus 2, son of a bitch.
I would rather do something. I would rather do something like either the Godzilla franchise or the James Bond franchise, especially since they've just announced who may be taking over for Daniel Craig.
Who?
Sean Connery.
Yeah, he's coming back.
It's coming back.
He's 102 years old, and he could still do a better job than the rest of you.
Fucking shout out to Sean Connery.
Dangerously. Bond, James Bond. You have my Viagra.
Damon Lewis, who was on Life and who was on Homeland Security, is being talked up highly about being the next James Bond.
James Bond is not a ginger. No.
Well, I was just going to say that James Bond would be a ginger before Doctor Who ever became a ginger, and I don't know if that's right or not.
That seems like blasphemy right there.
Also, there's something weird about his lips.
Apologies to the gingers out there.
No, fuck them assholes.
He doesn't have an upper lip. He's kind of like, Timothy Dalton doesn't have any lips. How can you be James Bond with no lips?
You don't need lips, you just need a penis.
Damien Lewis.
Well, what director did you
Band
guys
of Brothers,
like?
he was the guy that didn't turn out shitty at the end.
Let's do the Dirty Harry series.
Yeah.
I saw those in the theater too.
Okay, yeah. What do we each pick? Should we assign which Dirty Harry movie to watch? And then
should we have one in common though?
Why don't you guys watch them all?
Yeah.
Because there's like 5 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's 5 days you could watch. There's 7 days between there. There's 5 days of work.
I just thought that we could, because really, I like the second one, Magnum Force. That's my favorite out of the whole series.
Or maybe you could watch the movies with that orangutan in it.
Any Which Way But Loose or Any Which Way You Can.
Yeah, those both. You know what? I have weird. Speaking of this, I saw Any Which Way But Loose and then a Dirty Harry movie together at my dad took us to go see it at a
film festival.
Like a film festival. No, reading in your car. What is that called again? We used to go the drive-in. Yeah. So I'm not sure which one is Every Which Way But Loose and which part is Magnum Force because
the part where he had a gun is Magnum Force. The parts where he had a monkey is Any Which Way But Loose.
Yeah, but in my head it's the same movie because there's this scene where.
Oh my god! I actually kind of want that to be the same movie now. I want Clint Eastwood with a gun and a monkey being a cop.
There's a scene where like they're being shot up in a bus, and I can't for the life of me remember. No,
wait. Both those movies were about motorcyclists too. So
yeah, and I can't for the life of me remember which is which. And I just saw the monkey movie, and it confused me because I'm like, that's not the movie in my head. So, because there's a monkey and then there's a shoot up scene, and it's weird. But anyway.
Okay, so I will take Dirty Harry. Somebody should take The Enforcer, and somebody should take Deadpool. You know why? That's the first, middle, and last, and they get worse in descending order.
Deadpool wasn't bad.
See, like I said, Magnum Force is my favorite. I'd rather watch that one. What was The Enforcer about?
The Enforcer.
Dirty Harry must foil a terrorist organization made up of distinguished Vietnamese veterans, but this time he's teamed with a rookie female partner that he's not too excited to be working with. Is that the one with... Yeah, Daly.
Yeah.
I remember this one.
Do you want to see that one?
Mario, do you want to do that? And then you can tell us of how the Vietnamese are portrayed as villains and how that's, racial profiling and the sign of the times and all that.
Dude, realistically, I stopped listening to you guys like 7 minutes ago. So what am I watching?
He's playing with his pussy.
Okay. We're doing the Dirty Harry series, and we're each picking a movie, and we've decided it's the first, middle, and last. I got Dirty Harry, which is the first. The next two options are The Enforcer and The Deadpool.
What movie am I watching?
Do you want The Enforcer?
I don't care.
You do The Enforcer, I'll do the Deadpool. Even though the
Debate.
Deadpool's like completely the worst of the lot.
Deadpool's the one with the harpoon in it, right?
I believe so. That's the one with Jim Carrey. That's basically Jim Carrey's first movie role.
Right,
And he's playing Axl Rose.
Right. It's kind of brilliant.
He actually does a pretty good job in it.
Okay.
All right.
So you're down with that, Mario?
Sure, why not?
You're down like a clown in town?
Heather hit him.
I'm not in the same room. We're in different rooms.
I don't care.
I'll just write it down for you, and you can do it at a later time, okay, Heather?
Okay.
All right.
Heather, I have your number. I'll text you in the morning. Just to hit him right in his dick hole.
I will. I'll just punch him. I'll
Thank
periscope it so you can watch it later.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Well then, on that note, thank you very much.
MOF.ninja. Leave a comment.
Thank you very much, Heather Woodward, for joining us.
No problem.
MOF.ninja.
You're welcome to join us anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario Silvas, for joining us today. You're welcome to join us anytime. And thank you, Jamaal Alexander.
MOF.ninja. Leave a comment.
And thank you for everybody who's listening. You all have a good night.
On that note, good night.
All right, good night. Thanks.
Later, guys.
I'm fat.
Join the makers each week as they discuss film, TV, and pop culture. To learn more about them, go to mof.ninja. This is Sean Connery saying goodbye.